All right. Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing today? Today, you guys are tuned into another episode of Puffing Season. And for today's episode, it is titled Before I Say I Do, Watch This. That's the name of this whole entire thing. So, in the water here, you can see it says wait. So, Pastor Jay is joining to kind of get in this conversation again with Cuffing Season. Tell everybody, hey, Pastor Jay.
Hey everyone, hope everybody's having a good afternoon, evening, or morning, whatever time you're listening. We hope that everybody's going to enjoy this show.
Absolutely. So we're going to get started and we are going to be diving into a lot of conversation about some of these pressures that we as people in society kind of have. And cuffing season also adds to that. You might think you're doing something right, and it's just the pressure of everything. The holidays, is this the right time to do this? I guess this is the next best step. But we're going to jump into that and see, is this really the next step for you? And that's for anybody who's thinking about, okay, what do I do next in this situation? Whether you're dating, courting, getting ready to marry, all those things, we're just going to talk about it. Okay, Pastor Jay, let's dive on in.
Well, I think we start with the fact that even in today's society, it seems as if there is a pressure to get married, and the pressure comes from many different angles. You know, some pressures are from family members saying that you should get married, especially from a woman's side or a man's side. You should get married. And they never really give you the reasons why, other than the fact that's what they did and that's what you should do. And yet, a lot of you see that you can determine just by looking at them in their everyday life that they're not happy, right? They're not satisfied in their marriage. And they want you to jump into the pressure boat or the love boat with them that's not really love. And
Yeah.
you're wondering, why do you have this pressure? Why do you feel that you're pressured? You're independent, you have your own job, you're dating or whatever. And now it's like, now you got to get married. And I guess approach it from a woman's perspective. Let's start with family pressure. What was it like for you to go through the family pressure of being married? What led up to the family pressure?
So I think for me in my situation was my family was very abusive and strict. And
Hmm.
so I wanted to escape that. I wanted to get away from that. I was tired of that. So there was that aspect. Then the other part was the pressure from my mother. Like, you're grown, you need to get up out of my house. So the next thing is, well, how am I going to do that? I can't just get out of here. How do I get out of your house? How do I do that? So my first avenue before I ran to go get married is I tried to do it the way that I would do by myself. I ran to the military first as my escape. That was my first thing. Like, okay, I'll be on my own. I'll take care of myself. I don't need to marry nobody. I'm going to go do a career in the military. Well, then that fell through and I had to come back to family. So next pressure, I'm still listening to my mother because I ended up back with her again, ended up back with my family. You need to get out of my house. So caught the first thing moving, which was my ex-husband. And of course, when he came and saw all the different things that I was doing with my family, it's like, you know what? If you marry me, you'll never have to wash the dish again. You'll never have to do any of that stuff, right? You'll never have to do those things. And to me, that sounded great because I was always doing all the stuff for my family. So if you already come from somewhere that you're always washing, doing for all the family, and they don't really care, and someone says, I'm going to take you away from that life, you're like, great. I don't want to be here. I don't want to do that. So for me, I had all these different things that were vying for not just my attention, but vying for me to get out and escape. And I found someone that was going to help me to escape. Was I in love with that man? I was not in love with him. I needed to, in my way, use him to get out of my situation because I didn't want to stay with my family. They were abusive. I didn't know what other way to get out of that toxic abusive situation because I've been in that my entire life. And here he came. So,
Well, and you mentioned the toxic situation. That was the pressure for you. And was there any kind of pressure for you to legitimize yourself as a woman? Did you feel that pressure from anybody, friends or family, that you had to be a full woman, you needed to get married?
I think that would have happened when I had moved in with the ex-husband, right? And we were just dating, but we moved in together and the pressure was like, okay, well, I know I'm pregnant, number one, and I knew we are living together. That's a bad thing, but I want to try to make it right. I was like, okay, you finally got divorced from your ex-wife. Let's go ahead and do this. Baby's coming. Let's do this, right? Because my mother already said, the man's separated, meaning this as a Christian woman. He's separated. He's not divorced, right? You know that.
Mhm.
So the way we started is kind of the way it ended. I was like, okay, well, I'm not trying to break up. It's almost like, but he's still married and you're messing with a married man, although he's separated. He's not divorced yet. So when the divorce finally happened, then I was like, okay, well, we need to get married now. We need to do this now.
And the reason why you needed to get married is because you were pregnant.
Right.
Okay. Did anybody actually say that, or was that something that had been formulated in your head from years of experience, just listening to other people, maybe even religion, church? Was that, you know what I'm saying? It's like sometimes we come up with answers. We don't even know how we came up with them, but
Yeah.
it's really the pressure from society and from maybe religious circles that make us do something that we really haven't thought through, but we think is good. I mean, we think that's what we're supposed to do. So where did you actually, I see the escape.
Hmm.
The part of you getting married because you were pregnant, where did that come from?
So I believe for me that came from the church where my grandmother was attending.
Mm-hmm.
A Baptist church that she was attending. And there were a lot of, at the time, teenagers there that were pregnant without a husband. And you would always hear the conversation from the elders and from people saying, and they would whisper in the background, here she is, pregnant, staying with her mama out there. And they say all kinds of nasty things about these young ladies. And I'm like, well, I definitely don't want that. So that formulation of that kind of mindset came from hearing all of the old school talk from all those people that were in the church, men and women, speaking, ill of whichever young lady found herself pregnant, not married, and just
Mm-hmm.
walking around church in that way.
And see, so we got the escaping of your parents. We have the
Mhm.
religious part, um, and socially wise, amongst your peers. Was your peers or your friends encouraging you to get married?
No, none of my friends were. And since that was one of the things that ended up happening, like after I got married, the girlfriend who I had, who I knew at that time since sixth grade, she was so jealous of the marriage after it happened. She didn't have any idea why I was married, had no context to it. She would just say, "You're a rich bee." I was like, "What the? Every time I come around, you're pregnant. Every time I come around and you're married." I was like, you have no idea what kind of marriage this is. But she wanted to be married so bad herself.
Yeah, and that's the part we're going to get to later. The pressure to get married.
Hmm.
That word married, become a Mrs.
Hmm.
On the female side,
Yeah.
become a Mrs. to get those three letters behind your name. And what I found out is over time is that pressure, whatever the pressure may be, whether it's your family, whether it's religious, whether it's social pressure, it's not the way we should approach getting married. Because you said it, what kind of marriage?
Right.
See, that's where we get away from it because everybody talks about divorce, 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 divorce. Divorce rate is so high, but divorce rate would not be high if we would really take our time to examine marriage in itself, ourselves in marriage, and what marriage should look like. Because the divorce rate is so high, because everybody's considering shacking, if you want to use that word, or living together without the commitment, or living together with a pseudo commitment, then uh, marriage becomes distorted, right? Marriage
Hmm.
becomes distorted. So you have generation of men and women who haven't seen what marriage really was. You're at the point now where grandma and grandpa might have been married. Back in my day, your grandpa and grandmother at least was married once or may remarried. But now you may have, a couple of generations of there's no marriage,
Yeah.
but there's children.
Right.
Okay. So then somebody comes along and says, I want to be married. but it's the kind of marriage that's so important. You know, and again, it took me a minute to understand this. It is the kind of marriage that's important. And that's what we don't investigate more of. Because if we move in fear, because what you basically did is move out of fear and frustration on the first one, and then out of coercion of fear in religious circles, then we end up doing something that can really cause detriment to ourselves. The religious thing, it's better to marry than to burn.
Yeah.
The sexual part, whereas having agreed upon sex before marriage is fornication, and fornication is a sin, and God is going to whatever you want to add to it. Okay.
Right.
Fornicators, adulterers will not see the kingdom of heaven. We know we see that, right?
Right.
But what I've seen is that getting married just to have sex is not good either.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Committing yourself, it's not getting married just to have sex. Actually, to me, bruises or seems to downgrade what marriage is, because at that point, if you're just getting married to have sex, you're just moving out of lust anyway.
Yes.
You know, you're not moving out of commitment. You're not moving out of love. You're not moving out of sacrifice of yourself for another. You're moving out of pure lust to handle that one sin.
Yeah.
But I think it should be a sin to marry and you don't understand what marriage really requires.
Right.
You know, and we've been told in society that it's better to be married with children and have the father in the home. But we've learned and discovered, and by your story, you can tell a little bit of it.
Yeah.
You made that move. You did get married, but then what happened?
Domestic violence happened.
Okay.
Yeah. Domestic violence happened.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, go ahead, Pastor Jay.
No, go ahead.
I said, when you think about, when we were talking about just earlier, the kind of marriage, I didn't know the kind of marriage I would be in would be a domestically violent marriage. I thought, I've married this person. Okay, I've got kids. All right. But as soon as those doors close, nobody knows what kind of marriage that you're dealing with and the type of person behind those doors. You'll never see them. But because I lived in that marriage, I got to see what kind of marriage I was in. All kinds of sexual debauchery in my marriage, all kinds of people with the marriage bed not supposed to be defiled, clearly defiled in all kinds of ways, right? A lot of things going on that a marriage should not have. One person, husband and wife. There was multiple people, understand? So it's not just that. There was, of course, cheating on both sides, right? Trying to escape, but we're not leaving each other. And then if I do, there's this whole control thing. It was a circus of a marriage, and none of it was ever godly. None of it was covenantal at all. It was not. It was all power, control, lust, infatuation, you name it, it was there. You name it, it was there. And that kind of marriage, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. I don't wish the abuse. I don't wish you to see sexual things happen before your eyes, because you get to watch the cheating happening, but you agreed to it now. So you can't say nothing, because I'm not doing it behind your back. It's right in front of your eyes. So you can't say I'm behind your back, because I put it front and center. So you know that I am showing you that you can trust me, because I'm going to bring the sin in front of you. So I don't have to cheat behind your back. You can just watch it, and I'm not lying to you. So you know about it and agree, okay, you didn't do it behind my back, but I'm watching you have a whole relationship.
And you were expected, because of your faith in God, to stay there, because they would use the fact that you can't divorce them because you made your vow to God, but they didn't make their vow to God.
Right. Be submissive and stay.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. They know that one part of the Bible, men, wives obey, or wives submit to your husbands, but they don't read their part of what they're supposed to do, and
Right.
they use it against you. And then you're in a marriage based upon circumstances or financial reasons, but there's really no commitment in love and sacrifice. And so many marriages, are made in these situational marriages, whereas a decision is made to put on a face before friends and family and God that I've done the right thing. But have you really? Have you really? Because in a sense, in your sense, your children had to grow up traumatized with the abuse that you had to endure in the marriage.
Right.
Whereas if you just would have had a child or the children by him and he wasn't around, we can't say it would have never happened, but it would have been homegrown
Right.
abuse, right? You'd
Right.
have had more freedom to run away or get away or things of that nature. So marriage that is not really understood biblically as a marriage is not a marriage at all. It is not. It's just a matter of time. Um, and again, you can have a biblical marriage and not necessarily, I'm not going to say be a Christian per se. If you have good morals and values and you understand that your job as a husband and wife, and you understand your roles and you accept them, that's good. But to just get married for just to be married is a very dangerous thing because 90% of the time it never turns out well.
Yeah.
You got a broken family, kids are traumatized, both spouses are traumatized. They are so traumatized, whereas they normally soon get into another relationship and they bring that trauma to that relationship and it starts all over again. Right?
Right.
It starts all over again. For the male side, the thought is marry the woman because she's pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you might have had sex with her and wasn't considering her getting pregnant. But now, because of the pregnancy, you're supposed to marry her and quote unquote, make her honest woman and do the right thing.
Right.
And what I've seen, what I've grown up with is I haven't seen that just necessarily be the right thing per se. I know it works out sometime, but you got two people who just only reason they're together, they had sex at that time. You roll over one day, you look at the person that you married to and you have a baby and you wonder how did I get here?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you roll over, like you come out of the ether, like, you took the red pill and you're like, what am I doing here?
Right.
I know I love my child, but this person, we don't even really know each other.
Right.
But we're going through the motions as if we've known each other. Yes, we've known each other sexually, but we really don't know each other. We don't know each other's real habits. We just had a good time and we got caught up. So now we throw marriage into the mix. And I think that's the worst thing that you can do.
It is. It truly is.
Even for religious sakes, it's the worst thing. Too many pastors I've watched and I counsel some couples where really they got married because the pastor said they need to get married. The pastor said they need to get married because they had a child. They have to get married. God is not going to bless them. No, let me reverse this. God is not going to bless them and they're under some kind of curse. Now, he may not say that, but if God's not going to bless me, then I got to be under the curse, right? The end result is I'm under a curse.
Right. It's implied.
It's implied. Yeah. It's felt. It's the mothers are looking at you. I can tell you that church witchcraft is strong. It's so strong because I label anything that's manipulation to make you do something that you wouldn't normally do is witchcraft.
Yeah.
And I got my own witchcraft story. I was dating this young lady and she was living with me back when I was in my 20s, right? And her mother had a friend who was a pastor. And the mother was going out of town and it was his anniversary or something. And the mother told the daughter, well, that I was dating, let's take a check. You take a check over to him. I'm like, I'm not going to leave his name. You take a check over to him. Okay. And we did, no big deal. Take a check over. I wasn't really in the church. She wasn't in the church, but her mother knew the guy and the pastor and they were friends. And okay, we went to service, took the check over. Well, we started going. Now, I'm divorced with 2 kids. She's never been married with 2 kids. So we got babies, like 3 car seats. Going to church. But we live together, as they say, shacking as husband and wife, the benefits on my end, the benefits on her end. We're living our life. And it started subtly, to the point that when the pastor, at any point in time during his sermon, he may say, Brother Sutton and Sister Smith, I'm going to say Smith, I'm not going to give her name, y'all need to get married.
Mm.
And then he go on, finish doing what he need to do, right? And of course, when he holler out my name, they turn around and look. And when he says that, they all look, right? So all
Yeah.
eyes on us.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there. So think about that goes on for a couple of months.
Wow.
Okay. That goes on for a couple of months. Not every service, but enough to where I can say it's using manipulation.
Hmm.
Now, I'm a strong person, strong-willed person, but you got to be careful inside these churches because you could be manipulated and you don't even know. Like I said, because I like the church, so I trusted the pastor. And this is before I was saved, y'all. So just, I'm just going to church. I'm thinking I'm saved, but I'm not, right? So I
Yeah.
believe everything the pastor say. I believe the pastor holy and all that good stuff. So we're not gonna go down that road, okay? So all of a sudden, I ain't gonna never forget this. Something in me, and I don't know what it was, made me get up in the middle of the church, like thinking we sitting like 5 pews back, then there's 5 pews behind us, so we're in the middle, right?
Yeah.
So I get up, Pastor, I want to say something. And I get up and ask this woman to marry me in front of everybody.
Oh, wow.
She looks up at me and is like, what? I can't believe I've done that. But again, I didn't open my mouth.
Yes.
Okay. She didn't say nothing.
Mm.
I opened my mouth. So now, everybody going crazy, everybody clapping, she just looking. And when I came home, I went over my dad's house and he was like, you did what?
Mm.
And I'm not gonna say the cuss words he said, but basically he said, why you let that chilling eating pastor make you convince you to do something that you ain't ready and didn't want to do?
Mm.
And then it's like I woke up like, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that the pressure of being in church made me say that.
Hmm.
My dad said, don't let anybody pressure you, like especially in church.
Yeah.
Thank God she was smart enough to say no. Okay. She said no, and that's fine. But that saved us a lot of problems because we didn't stay together no way,
Mm. Yeah.
right? We
Yes.
didn't have any children together, but we didn't stay together no way.
Yeah.
So I know the pressure that can be put on you in church to
Yeah.
do something that on the surface appears good, but it needs to be investigated, thought about, contemplated, prayed on, counseled through to make sure that you're making the right decisions. I've seen women marry unsaved men, that, and that's a whole nother fiasco,
Oh, yes.
you know,
Oh,
where,
yeah.
that's part of our cuffing seasons. You
Oh,
marry a man, the man tricks you or you trick yourself. We're not going to go through
yeah.
the many ways you be tricked, but you marry a man that that's not saved.
Right.
And he tells you whatever he needs to tell you. He's spiritual. He know God, whatever. We don't go in all of that.
Right.
But you marry him and you find out that not only does he is not saved, he don't care for your God or your church.
Ooh.
But you done married him and you got to ask your question. What pressured you to marry him?
Mm-hmm.
What pressured you to marry him? Where y'all having sex and you the church person, you figure the only way, again, here we go, to have sex, I'm going to go ahead and get him to marry me.
Uh-huh.
Or I'm going to marry her. No, you shouldn't try to get a person to marry you. You should stop having the sex.
Right.
But you don't want to do that, right? You don't want to do that. You want to continue to do what you want to do. Okay. So you marry this person who's not into God. And I'm going to say this, you get what you get. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's natural consequence.
That's a consequence of your decision. And like I've
Mhm.
learned, God don't have to chastise you by doing something to you. He lets the natural consequence of your bad decision whoop on you in itself.
Yeah, yes.
While you worried about God coming down spanking you, you having to live out your bad decision to marry a person that you shouldn't marry is consequence in itself.
Amen. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is a warning to all of you.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Marriage is too precious to do this haphazardly.
Right.
And just because you've been living with somebody for a long time and have a baby, Either one. Why? Why? The question should be is why after 6 or 7 years, why are you getting married now?
What's
What is,
the
what has
yeah,
changed, right?
right? What's the motive? What's the agenda? What's all?
Yeah,
Why all of a sudden? Why do things change? Is
yeah.
it, and I wondered that
And,
too
and,
back
and is there,
then.
hold on,
Yeah.
but is there evidence of change? Where's the fruit of change, right?
Yes.
The Bible always talks about you know a tree by its fruit,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Not by its bark, by its fruit.
Yeah.
So if not, and I mean, I've seen women take insignificant change as major change because they want to be married. Like, I'm just being silly. He started picking up his clothes now, and I don't have to pick them up. Oh man, he's committed. What? All he did was start picking up his clothes.
Yeah.
Oh, he started talking to me a little bit more. That doesn't mean anything. Don't you have standards that, and both sides of this equation? But the woman gets hurt the most, especially to a Christian woman when she marries an unsaved man or a man that is not ready to be a husband. He may be saved, but not ready to be a husband. And there's no honest conversation because he doesn't want to lose face because he cares for her, but he doesn't want to tell her, look, I'm not ready yet. My hat goes off to the men that actually just go ahead and say, hey, I'm not ready yet. Or the woman that says, I'm not ready yet. Or why don't we live apart and see if we really want to be married?
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you be a good father. I'm gonna be a good mother, but we don't have to be in the same household like this if it's going to cause trauma. You don't have to be. But you was getting ready to say something. What was you going to say?
I was gonna say when you had shared a person cares for a person,
Hmm.
that's a very stark differentiation between someone who loves for a person. There's love for a person, and then just care and concern, totally different. Because then you have someone that might say, well, I care for you and I will tolerate you, and then disguise that and put love over it. But is that love? Is there any sacrificing on the other person's behalf? And is there that what you just shared too about will you wait? Will you wait and take a step back? Sometimes we need to be still, let God be God. And on top of that, be still and just find yourself and find some peace. Like, let's separate for a minute, go to our respective corners, whatever that means. You over here, me here. And let's just sit and think, what's the rush? If we are going
Yeah.
to get married, we have all of our lifetime to be married. But until then, why don't we just take a beat, take a moment, and just think about it? Is this really what we want to do for real?
Yeah. And set standards that can't be crossed, that you have to have, and traits you have to have in your husband or your wife. And
Mhm.
again, for the ladies, this is really key because you're the ones who drop your standards. Because let me tell you something, and I want to challenge you on this, ladies. Save men, save blood bought men, give their life to Christ. Don't care what their life what used to be, they didn't give their life to Christ and walk with God a little while. Okay. They become mature in their faith and maturing in their faith and moving forward in faith. Very attractive, very good man. Let me tell you what he's not going to do. He's not going to lower one standard to marry an unsaved woman.
Mm.
He's not going to go down that road. He's not going to believe that he can turn a hoe into a housewife. That sounds cute,
Uh,
but he's not going to do that because he understands who God really is. And he knows he could be a great example and guide. But if she's not saved, he's going to get what he get.
mhm.
Okay. But you rarely, if ever, find saved men marrying unsaved women, but you find a boatload
Of
of
women.
saved women dropping all of the standards, everything that they know, even if they marginally church members with standards or standards without church, they'll drop them just to get them 3 letters by their name. And I know some people who are miserable. And the man's not cheating. He's just a hub son. You know, he's not cheating or nothing like that. You know, the extreme of the domestic violence. But
Yeah.
if you had, and I asked these women in secret, would you marry these guys again if you knew what you knew? And all of them has said no.
Oh yeah, of course.
All of them have said no.
I'm
3
telling you,
years,
their
yeah,
nightmare that they have. Like,
3 years in, 6 years in, 10 years in, and the answer is no.
no. Yeah.
No, I would not have. I wouldn't have married them. But I proposed to them. But you knew that they were like this. You just didn't know to what degree,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? You
Can't
knew that
plot
they were
out
like this.
everything.
You thought that you was gonna power range them into the faith.
No,
No.
can't do
But see,
it.
men don't take that chance.
hmm
He looking for the blood bought queen,
Yeah.
right? He looking for her. So those are the kind of things that, the pressures of being married is so great. It's a 2026,
Mm.
2020s, man, probably in the last 20 years. You got one end where it says, don't worry about marriage.
Yeah.
But now we've included married being two people of the same gender.
Mm.
So now you got another pressure on a group of people to get married.
Right.
That can't be in a covenant relationship like that because God didn't ordain their covenant. God didn't ordain them to be a covenant relationship like that.
Yeah.
So even though they may think they are, under God's auspices, they're not. Now,
hmm
there's nothing against them. The laws of the land, we talking the difference between the laws of the land say you can do that. Okay, fine. The laws of the land used to say a lot of things that's been outlawed.
Yeah.
Okay. But the word of God never changes,
hmm
right? The spirit of what the word of God's trying to do with marriage is supposed to be the union between a man and a woman so they can make children,
Yeah. Be fruitful and multiply.
you know. But we see even in history, when Solomon married all those women, he loved them in a sexual way, but what he loved was they provided him political cover from his enemies. Because if I marry my enemy or potential enemy's daughter and he's a king too, then my father-in-law is not going to let nothing happen to me.
hmm
So a lot of times in history, what you see is marriage out of convenience or for political reasons.
Yeah.
To keep the money in the family, to keep the bloodline. So marriage has been really messed up a long time,
Yes.
and we have now, just again, marriage out of convenience. I mean, ask the hard question. You sitting there, you about to get married. Tell me how you love me. Tell me why you love me.
Yeah.
And if you get stuff like you're a nice person and those little superficial things, if they can't go into depth, whether male or female, they don't love you. And
Yeah.
they're telling you they probably really don't want to marry you. They're being pressured somehow, or maybe you're pressuring them to marry you.
hmm
Maybe you're the catalyst for their marriage. They're tired of feeling as if, or you saying that when you gonna marry me, when you gonna marry me, this, that, and the other. But see, if you were by yourself, you wouldn't have to ask them questions.
Yeah.
And even if you did, it wouldn't be an everyday thing because you would have your separate places of abode.
hmm
But this marriage thing is something else because it's horrible when you watch the kids go through what they have to go through,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
And my children was subject to that. So I'm not talking from I'm way up here, you way down here. My kids had to go through the trauma of divorce.
hmm
Wasn't no physical abuse. It was, we got married because she was pregnant.
Mm.
you know. Did I learn to love her as being a mother? Of course I did. But again, the pressure. Think about
Yeah.
it. So I got bamboozled twice in a sense. You know, and each time, and see, I'm the kind of guy, I'll take responsibility.
Yeah.
I shouldn't let the religious part bamboozle me, and I shouldn't let the pregnant part bamboozle me
Yeah.
because I was not in love with neither one.
Hmm.
You know, do I love my two children that come out of that marriage? Yes, I did. And yes, I do. They're grown now. But if I had one thing that I would tell both of them, whatever you need to do to make sure and set a standard for, don't lower it.
Hmm.
If they are disrespectful to your parents, remember, they have an air of disrespect about them altogether. And if they're disrespectful to your parents, they're disrespectful to you. And if you
Very
can't see
true.
that, that's on you, right? That's on you. You know, kids are, these adults, or children are headstrong. They
Hmm.
make more money. They're making big decisions out in this world, but sometimes they need to slow down and listen to the wisdom of the mistakes of their parents
And the mistakes of others.
and the mistakes of others. Yes.
Hmm.
True wisdom is you don't have to go through it. You can listen to it and say, I don't want to go that way.
I don't want that. Yeah, I don't want
You
that
know,
for
I
my
told
life.
I told my son all the time, don't be like me, be better than me.
Hmm.
And I can say, thank God that he has, right? Thank God that he has. I pray my daughter will continue to do so also. Like think this thing through, think marriage through, think your next job plan or whatever it is you're doing, think it through, weigh some stuff. Because if it becomes a bad decision, the only person got to live with it is you.
Yeah.
But if you have a child, they're going to be affected too. So if you guys, and I'm going to say this, if you guys are living together and you're not married and it's peaceful, because sometimes that couple who's been dating and living together for a while, they finally get married. And for some reason, as soon as they get married, all hell break loose. Whereas y'all been together 6, 7, 8, 9 years, and now you get married, and just the getting married has changed everybody's position. And
Yeah.
normally it changes the man's position because at that point, if the man hasn't matured, trust me, he feels stuck.
Hmm.
And he's not man enough to tell you that he feels stuck. Nothing really's changed, but now you're his responsibility. Now, he was able to say you were his responsibility, but in legal, you weren't. But
Yeah.
now you're married, you are. And see, a lot of times, men are the ones who end up feeling like that. The woman, a lot of times she just keep on living like she's been living. She figuring 9, 10 years in this, it's just, as they say, just a piece of paper, but that ain't the way that man thinks it. It's not just a piece of paper. It's I'm hooked to you. Your last
Yeah.
name is my last name. You
Hmm.
know, you can get half. You know, those type of conversations need to be had. And if either side feels like that, that's where the prenup comes in. That's where not putting, you were saying when you were talking earlier today, maybe some couples in certain situations with certain financial successes and jobs, maybe they don't need to put everything in each other's name.
True.
You know, maybe they can have one bank account and keep all the rest of their stuff separate.
Hmm.
Accessible upon death. You can do a lot of bank accounts and stuff like that, like pay upon death.
Yeah.
Whereas once you die, then you can have access. But up until then, that's gonna stay over here in a trust or whatever. Protect yourself. But then they will say, well, if you're going into a marriage, should you protect yourself? You should go in open. That's not a good idea in 2026.
Yeah.
This is not Leave It to Beaver
Yeah. This is
or
not
the
those
Brady
times.
Bunch. Yeah,
Yeah.
those times are come and gone.
Yeah.
You know, Men are ruthless, women are ruthless.
Right.
And some of these marriage fights, these divorce fights, has just caused major problems to the psyche of the children and their family members. I mean, whole families are going at each other because of a broken marriage.
Right. Devastation.
devastation, scorched earth.
Yeah.
I'm a hurt. I'm gonna have everybody hurt. Men and women have been locked up because their emotions have gotten the best of them in a marriage, and they
Yeah.
figure they had the right to go pillage, hurt, harm, and destroy property. And then they end up in jail. Some end up losing their career
Mhm.
because they're out of control. Because they look at marriage as property ownership, not as a person willing to be in this relationship of covenant with you. This covenant relationship with you. So yeah, it's crazy. You got to be careful. So I just say count. The Bible says count up the cost, right?
Yes.
Please count up the cost.
Think about
Please
it.
count the cost.
Yeah.
And hey, and where there's pennies, don't try to make them dollars.
Because it makes no sense.
It makes no sense. There you go. Where there's
Hey!
pennies, where there's pennies, don't try to make them dollars.
Yeah.
Those are pennies. And you're gonna need 100 of them to make $1. Don't be looking at it like, ooh, that's a penny. But you know what? In the name of Jesus, it's gonna be $1. No, don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do it to yourself.
Don't do it.
And for church folk, don't let no woman or man tell you they didn't had a dream and they didn't see y'all together and all that stuff. I mean, oh my God.
Yeah, can we just in 2026, can we not say God told me to tell you that you need to get married, or God told me to tell you I need to talk to you, or listen, if God didn't tell you directly in his word by a memo directly to him, God ain't tell them nothing to tell you, because there is nobody that you need to talk to except for you and Jesus, straight that way. Why some kind of sideways horizontal connection? God told me to tell you that I need to come and no, you don't. Just
stop it.
speak
Yeah,
to me
just stop it.
plain.
Yeah, just stop
plain.
it. Yeah,
Just say hello.
yeah. But church folk, those who are in the cult of church, they don't know how to speak plain. God is always talking. And if you notice, God is always talking to them, but you look at their life and the life has no fruit of God always talking to them.
Yeah. No chastisement at all. It's just
no
all
correction.
prosperity.
I've been assigned to tell you something.
I'm like, what?
Well, you the one got your shoes on backwards. Did God tell you about that?
Well, yeah, I don't, that, like you said, when people talk like that, don't listen to them, especially when it comes to marriage.
Yeah,
That's super serious. Like, please don't listen to them. If somebody somewhere has given you some kind of phraseology like that, take that and put that in the garbage, and then say, you know what, they said that. I really need to take a time and pause. And why am I doing this? Why do I even want to get married? Like, life is good. Do I just need to find my own space? Think about, like Pastor Jay was saying, you need to do some self-evaluation, awareness, and think logically, rationally, away from the situation. Because sometimes when you're in that situation, everything around you is saying, do this, because even where you're living and it's a situationship, you're not going to be able to think clearly and in a place where both of the parties are together. You're not going to be able, you need to go away from that situation. Take time away, go somewhere, even if you have to go stay with family or something for a little bit, take some time away and really sit and think.
Right.
What am I doing?
And evaluate. Yeah. Think and evaluate.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And set your standards and keep them.
Mm-hmm.
Set your standards and keep them. Don't lower them, ladies. Because that man who's saved, that man who's a good man, is not going to lower his standards.
Yeah.
Remember, he wanted you to dress a certain way, wanted you to get your nails done all the time, wanted you to have your hair whipped all the time. He didn't lower his standards. He made you rise to his standards because you wanted to be with him, so you did what you needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
It should be reciprocal. And I know what you want more is to feel secure with him.
Mm-hmm.
Not just walking down the street with him. I'm talking about in an overall thing, whereas if push came to shove, would he deny you? Would he deny you? Not the baby, you.
Mm-hmm.
Not the children, you.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next question would be, if you didn't have children, would he even be asking to marry you?
Yeah.
Or you didn't have some kind of other third party connection, would he even be mentioning marriage?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I just say be vigilant, keep praying. And again, the problem with divorce is not marriage. And again, before you walk down that aisle, check this out, listen and think about it and ponder and go through it in your mind. Do you really, before you say I do, think about it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Think about it.
Yeah. So that's all I got.
Well, that we're good to go with that. Stick a fork in us. We're done. So I love it. So
Right.
with that, Pastor Jay, you want to go ahead and share anything before we wrap ourselves up?
Oh, well, yeah. For today, I'll just say, you know, I always want you to be encouraged, blessed, and at peace and walk in the truth of the Lord. Please check out the Walk in Truth TV YouTube page and go to uh, our website at www.witcfc.com, and you can contact us through that website and look for opportunity to partner with us and possibly donate. We want to thank you in advance for all your prayers. And again, we just want you to walk in truth.
Absolutely. So thank you guys for tuning in with us. Myself and Pastor Jay, we love doing coffee season. We'll be back because we still have some more episodes to do before we
Yeah.
get to the end, which will be February 14th. Sometime we'll get done. So just keep your eyes peeled, your ears peeled for when we come back and do some more coffee season, because we're not done yet. Okay. We're not finished. So we're going to get out of here. I just want you guys to remember to be blessed, motivated, and always inspired to do what the Lord lays on your heart. You guys take care, and we'll see you again real soon. See y'all
See you
later.
guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
God gets through his word. It's